How you doing? Hey, hey.
Recording. Hey, this is
Hey,
Chiro Mafia, and I'm here with my brothers from other mothers. Although I don't know, we don't
You
want to do
never
the
know. You
23 and me.
never
It might be
know.
a little
we could be
sketchy
family. We might
because
be family.
yeah, I'm just sitting on the back patio in Abruzzi from my father's side of
Oh, Abruzzo.
yeah. Well, that's where you are, man. My father's side of the family. My mom's a
Yeah.
little south, but that's where you have your house is over by Abruzzi, don't you?
Yeah, I'm in Puglia, right above the heel.
Yeah, not right above the heel. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go. And we got
Brian,
our
where the hell
great.
are you exactly? Blurred background? You're trying to hide the Italian
Yeah,
location?
I'm on the run, man.
Hey,
On the right,
Italians
exactly.
never give
I
the
don't like to
answers,
give away the
man.
locations of where I
Yeah,
am.
you
Yeah,
don't want people
exactly.
calling you for
I need a
computer
low
problems these
profile. Yeah,
days.
no.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
does.
You
So
don't want your
anyway,
tech support. You're
for
hiding
you
from
guys
tech
that don't
support.
don't know this beautiful Italian face over here, it's Dr. Brian Capra, of course. Name ends in a vowel, which is why he's our guest.
Yeah,
Italian friend, brother from another mother. So
yeah. Great to
and
be here, guys. I've been looking forward to this.
yeah,
I don't
very
know. I don't
principled.
know why I wasn't the first guest, but
Yeah, you know
I'm
what?
not.
That's a
I'm not
good
gonna hold it.
question.
You know,
I was pulling that for Fred. I don't know, for some reason, Fred runs the talent here. I don't know what's
it
going
throws
on.
you under the bus. I was there when this was. This concept
You
came into
were.
Yes, exactly.
reality, and I didn't even get an invite. I'm number
Yeah.
12.
We wanted to
You're
work
one
the
of the
kinks out before we had the big guy
That's
come on. So,
right. I
a
appreciate
couple
that.
of
Thank you.
soft openings first.
Okay.
yeah. Now, if you notice, we're all Italian, so all three of us are talking at the same time. It's like dinner on Sunday, man.
Yeah. It's just
The
I'm
every
not
day.
fascinating,
mad. I just talk loud. I'm not mad.
yeah, I know.
That's my wife was Venezuelan. She's like, "Why are you screaming at me?" I'm like, "What do you mean?
Yeah.
I'm just talking." No, you
Yeah.
yelled
Just
at me. I'm
melody.
like, I didn't yell at you.
I'm not yelling.
I'm not freaking yelling at you.
I know that's like
You are yelling.
that's
You
like
haven't heard me yell.
Yeah, exactly.
Molly's got like a Polish Russian, and they're very stoic and conservative. She's not, but she comes from that where everybody's proper. And that's when we
Yeah.
first lived together. It's like I'm like yelling. Oh, you'll know when I yell. This is
Yeah.
Yeah,
talking. When I
exactly.
yell, the windows will crack.
Everybody
Yeah.
in the neighborhood will know.
This is
Yeah,
passion.
exactly.
It's not anger, it's passion. There's a difference.
Right. Let's take it as a bit of an adjustment period. Still happening, by
Exactly.
the way.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's funny. So cool,
So
man. So hey,
I'm in
Kyle
Florida,
Mafia.
by the way.
Oh, nice.
Somewhere, somewhere in Florida. Delray
Nice.
Beach. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So
Loving
what's
it.
up, Brian? Give me a wrap up, man. How do you get to be you? How did you end up where you are? Because you're a big deal, man. You got your podcast going. You're running a computer program, one of the best in the industry. Like, how do you go from not being to a chiropractor to running that? Like, give me a little rundown.
Well, first of all, how'd you get to be a chiropractor? And you found the
Yeah.
principal. Where'd you find the principal? And how'd you get to be a chiropractor?
It's all God things, one by one by one. One thing I learned through that experience is that there are times when God speaks directly to you, and you know when it is, and you just don't ask questions, you go. So the way I found out about chiropractic is I was in getting my bachelor's in biology, and had no idea what I was going to do with that. I was always an athlete, always into health, always looking for something. Even in football, would never. My mom would constantly be trying. I'd be all bruised up in pain and whatever. She like take an Advil. I'm like, no, mom, I can't take an Advil. No, not knowing nothing about chiropractic. I don't want to. I need to feel the pain, otherwise I'll get more injured. Um. Anyway, stuff like that. And I had medical doctor when I was a kid. My pediatrician never would give us medication, so it was what for me it wasn't foreign. He wouldn't give us antibiotics, wouldn't give us anything unless it
Jeez.
was really, really bad. So it was already kind of luckily like I had an experience with a medical doctor that didn't believe in all this medication all the time. But that wasn't how I found chiropractic. How I found chiropractic was while I was in getting my bachelor's and I didn't know what I was going to do next. I was a junior in college, and turned out I lived in Jersey, and my mom was working in a education company, and the woman that worked right next to her was Barbara Plasker.
Hmm.
And
Oh, nice.
Barbara came to her one day and said, "Hey, my son is going to be in New Jersey speaking. You know, he's this chiropractor and blah blah blah. He coaches other chiropractors, and so he invited me. I don't know how that came up with her conversation with him, but he invited me to go
It was
hear
a
him
God
speak.
thing.
So I drove to the Meadowlands to go. I guess it was at a hotel to hear him speak. And I don't know if you ever heard Eric's story and the story about what his son and all that, but when I heard him speak, it was just, I knew 100% that's what I wanted to do. There was no question. It was like God said, that's what you're going to do. And I said, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And now my cousin was a chiropractor. I had been to chiropractors. Actually, my parents brought me to a chiropractor when I was a kid. His name was Dr. Press, ironically.
Hmm.
And not one of them told me anything about the principle and philosophy of chiropractic.
Hmm.
So it was hearing that changed me, and understanding what it was really about. So I went home from that, told my girlfriend I'm moving to Georgia, when I graduate. She's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna apply to chiropractic school, and then I'm gonna go as soon as I graduate." She's like, "What? How did you get? Like, how did this happen?" I'm like, "Look, you can come if you want, but I'm going. So, but you should know that now." So she actually did come with me, and that didn't work out, but that's how I
You know
became a
what's
chiropractor.
fascinating
Yeah.
is, do you think you find out like patients? Have you ever been to a chiropractor, right? We do that right in the pre-consult, right? One of the first things we say. And you get, well, yeah, I went when I was a kid. And you're thinking, then how the hell are you not living a chiropractic lifestyle? Like, who fucked up? You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
It's
And
usually the chiropractor. Yeah.
yeah, and that's what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
chiropractor, right? And thank
Yeah.
God, a chiropractic was your sole purpose. You end up in it anyway. But you look
In
at like,
spite of the chiropractors.
in
Yeah.
spite of the chiropractor, exactly. And then you think, how many great chiropractors could there have been if we would
Right.
just do the job? And then what if you weren't a chiropractor? What diseases would you be suffering from when you had the opportunity to live a completely, not only live a completely different life, but if you were raised that lifestyle? I mean, fortunately you're a chiropractor, but how many generations would have been affected after that? And that's where people are like, they're so busy with a patient, they forget their purpose is to create a legacy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. The most important thing is
Exactly.
to help them
Generations.
understand what it really is. Um, and for whatever reason, they don't. That's some of them. Right. So, Joe, I
Too
don't.
many more and more. It's really unfortunate, the schools and they're coming out, they want to be therapists or, rehab or whatever, which, granted that those services are well needed, but it's not what we do as chiropractors. So it amazes me to this day when I talk. I went to Palmer a number of years ago for a weekend sabbatical, and all I wanted to do was spend a few days going to the research library. I wanted to see the books of Palmer. I wanted to read what he wrote. I wanted to just see a couple of cases. I wanted to touch that legacy somehow, some way, feel it. I did some videos on it way back when we did Thought Flashes, and the woman that was assigned to me at the school, all she wanted to show me was the new rehab facility at Palmer. And I was like, where's the adjusting table?
Do you know who
Yeah.
I am?
Like, what? It was
Talk about know your
it was
audience. Yeah.
absolutely amazing. I felt so sad, especially at Palmer, talking about having your grandfather like roll over their grave. I mean, BJ must be like, oh my God, Dee Dee must be flipping out. It's amazing.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that's
like
how that's it.
you
Yeah.
you'd want to see the adjusting table where BJ's hair was flying. I want to
Yeah.
smell that
Yeah.
torn leather
Yeah.
after 80 freaking years later or
Yes.
whatever.
Do they still have that? Is that still around? Can you get access to that kind of
I don't
history?
know, but I'd want to buy it.
I got a great video of BJ and Justin. Yeah, I'll send it to you guys.
But do they have at the school, is it, there like some type of little museum or something? I've never been
Oh,
out
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. They got his,
Okay,
they got his mansion and such. Yeah. Yeah.
okay. At least I
Yeah.
have that.
They still have stuff, and they still have the stuff in the research library. And it's such a dichotomy. There's such uh, a reverence for the history of chiropractic there, and it's the obviously the flagship of the profession. And then, but then the school like operates totally you're like, what? It's just crazy,
I know. I hear
crazy.
they're dogging on X-rays now, and it's like
At Palmer?
that's what I've heard through the
Yeah.
grapevine. May or may, a lot of schools are doing that now. They're
Yeah.
discouraging X-rays. It's a problem. I mean, it's a
Yes.
problem for the students.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
I got a great story when I used to work with Burl Pettibon. When he was in third term, the first adjustment he gave, he did a thoracic adjustment, and this other student got up. He's like, "Yeah, I feel kind of weird," and he went off to the bathroom and died. He died in the bathroom
Oh
of the
no.
college. And then, of
Oh no.
course, Burl being the rebel that he was, he's like, "Wow, man, if it's that powerful, imagine what'll happen when I know what I'm doing."
When I get good at it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he wanted to. Well, the difference and this is how it relates to X-rays. He said, "I want to X-ray that dead body so I know what happened." And the school refused the X-ray, so he held a walkout. The students
Huh.
walked out and shut the school down. And then they started taking X-rays, and he actually held a walkout, and then they started taking pre and post X-rays way back when, and that's how he got into spinal correction, because he killed the first person he adjusted.
Wow.
That's pretty freaking intense. But a bunch of students quit after that. When you look at the real leaders, and not that, to kill someone, it's not that you're not a leader, but
Sure.
people
Sure.
walked out. But he's like, "Holy shit, look at that power, man. I better figure out what the hell I'm doing."
Sure.
So
Yeah.
anyway, that's how he got into pre and post X-rays and spinal correction and all that. Trippy story, huh?
Yeah. For sure. Yup.
So
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
it shows you the
You
power.
figure out who people are in the moments like that,
Oh,
For sure.
absolutely. But it's also the life-giving force of an adjustment. I mean, you guys know. I mean, once you get the principle and you really take it to heart, and then you realize every adjustment is life or death on some level, right? You block nerve energy, you're just dying slowly. Like, to think,
Exactly.
if I could never get adjusted again, I'd put a bullet in my mouth right now.
Exactly.
Fuck that. I'm not going to
Exactly.
live like that, right?
Exactly.
And then when you believe it's life or death, you attract life or death people. I mean, I
Mm.
certainly had patients that hospitals sent them home to die. Send them home to die on Friday. You're going to be dead by Monday. And they lived for years after that.
Yes.
So, I mean, we all have those stories.
Yeah.
But
You're
when you,
like you said, when you block nerve energy, I mean, you are dying. The time is, you're not a cardiothoracic walking in the moment of the heart attack per se, but you are anytime you're crooked, anytime there's compression, anytime there's interference, there's less expression, there's more disorder. You're moving towards disease, sickness, and death. I mean, more rapidly. I mean, there's no question in that. And that's how critical the adjustment is. That's why we're so necessary. The body can't adapt to the environment. You need to involve yourself in an effort to do an outside force to correct what the body can't adapt to allow the body to work better. I mean, it makes so much sense when you think about it, and yet it falls on deaf ears more with the chiropractor. I'll tell you what, we do a Monday night every week. Put a kid in your group. I know you know this, Fred, and
they
kids
get
get it. You get a
oh,
you
yeah.
get a 12-year-old in there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's crooked, nerves, blocked." That mom and dad are sitting there like, "Boy,
Step on the
what's
hose,
my
of course it doesn't.
insurance cover?"
Yeah. What is the? Yeah, they're just thinking about how much it's going to cost me. Yeah.
Jesus
Well, I
Christ.
know. And that's the good thing, because we used to do the reports after the workshop, right? And the parents are asking questions, and the 5-year-olds, "Mom, I have allergies. Mom, I need chiropractic. Mom." And they're like, "Shut up," and then finally, "Fine." I'm like, "No, let the kid talk."
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
what do you think, little Johnny?
this is unrelated to having the kids and the thing, but I was just talking to Alcira the other week on when I got how like passionate I was when I got out of school and how much I did not give a shit what anybody thought.
Yeah.
Was I created this corporate wellness. So I was like in the Princeton area. So I created a corporate wellness talk series, and I hired somebody to call all the HR departments and get me in for a meeting. And so the first meeting I got was Princeton University. So, but that's not the point. But I go to Princeton and I had this whole thing about quantum physics that in the beginning of the talk about what's the difference between you and the table that you're sitting at, right? And they would be like, well, this is wood, I said, but no, at the quantum level. But I created this outline before I got invited by Princeton. So I go and give this talk and I just let it rip. And I'm like, so does I get through the whole thing that there's literally no difference between you and the table, except the force that organizes you have the same exact material as wood, right? But it's just organized differently. And there's an intelligence that did that. And I said, does anybody disagree with that? Or did you see anything wrong that I said? And he said, because I got down to the quantum level of quarks. He's like, you spelled quark wrong. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
it? That's the only thing you found? I'm like, awesome. But the next one, I get invited, I go in, and in the beginning of my talk was, Advil kills 12 or 16,000 people a year. And I see everybody's face, like just, oh my God. And I go and I give it and I sign up a bunch of new patients. And the HR woman said, can I talk to you after? She goes, we make Advil. So I'm doing this talk in this company, Wyeth. Wyeth makes Advil. So I'm like, yeah, but it's true. And but it comes back to like when you have the purpose and the passion, it's just the truth. I'm talking about this, what's health, what's not health, what's medicine, what's not medicine, the pressure on the nerves, how it's going to affect you. I'll be here. I'm like, do you want me to come back? She's like, yeah, I want you to come back, but maybe don't bash Wyeth so much next time. I'm like, well, that was just the first talk, so
Yeah,
I'll bash somebody
exactly.
else.
I got all kinds of drugs to bash, sweetheart.
I got a whole series. You guys, I'll keep away from you. I got plenty of people to hit.
Yeah,
You know.
nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the first thing I want to qualify when we talk about life or death, we talk about, do we say that in reported findings? Absolutely not. But they do understand life force energy. And when you do the right consultation, I haven't practiced in 20 years, which I can't believe it's been that long. People would have, we could pull out maybe 12 or 15 health problems. And now the consultation we teach now, man, over 20 health problems is common, even
Yes.
in teenagers.
Yes.
And so you don't have to say anything, man. By the time you do the right consultation, they already understand energy in the spinal cord and healing. And the principle is a principle, man. It's a universal law. It goes one way. You either are subluxated or you're not. And that's the thing about like with you, Brian, and with you, Joe. When you look at high volume people, it's black or white. You're either subluxated or you're not. How are you living?
Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly.
If you think anything past that, past how do you want to live the rest of your life? Okay, you live subluxated. Here's where it got you. How do you want to live the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's that simple. Anything more than that, your patient education is too involved.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. No health and crooked.
Yeah.
Crooked sick. Straighter's
See,
healthier. Let's go, baby. Come
here's
on.
the Joe Borio, man.
Right? I mean,
I'm
come
trying to
on.
think. Somebody who was it that owned practices in South America?
Liam
And
Schubel?
Liam. Oh yeah, it was Liam. So Liam is like when he didn't really speak Spanish very well, he would just be like, the good spine would be. He'd say Dios, and then he'd turn it, no Dios, and they
Yeah.
would just meaning God, no God. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, okay, they'll sign up. New patient, like
Yeah.
keep it simple.
Especially with a bunch of Catholics down there.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Now you're speaking their language.
yeah.
Yeah.
So where'd you get the principle, man? You went to life. So was that in school? What really sparked you? Because we all have that moment kind of when we got it? I mean, plaster got you into school, but what really gave you
But that
conviction for
was
principal?
the principle I feel like was already, well, obviously it was already in me. I already was thinking that there's some kind of disconnection here with medicine and what I feel I should be doing to be healthy. So I knew it wasn't right. I just didn't know why. Nobody gave me a like a way to look at it, perspective, paradigm. So Eric did that in that talk. That was it. And when I went to life at that time, it was still very philosophically, Fred Barge and all these guys were
Yeah.
still right. So I got more and more. They still had the assemblies. They still had people coming talking about principle. So it just solidified it for me while I was in school. And then when I graduated was the year Sid, the quarter I graduated, Sid was getting booted. So I got out of there by the skin of my teeth with my degree. If I would have started one quarter later, I would have had to go through all that mess that all those other people had to go through. So that drove it home. While I was in school, um, what I would do is go to Borders Books. Um, at the time, it's like a Barnes and Noble where they had that bottomless coffee. So I'd go study for my tests or my boards or whatever. And on my study breaks, I would actually the cafe was like right by all the business sections. So I would study business and I would study chiropractic and study business and study chiropractic. Um, so the philosophy was just, it was driven into you while you were there. And so I would just study that stuff. Then I started towards the end of my schooling, started to look for coaches actually, who's successful, what are they doing, how are they doing it, can I start to learn from them? So I went through the uh I guess it was Body by God at the time. So I got
Yeah.
connected with Ben and Greg and all those
Yeah. Great
guys.
guys. Yeah.
And while I was a student, we drove a couple of buddies and I drove down to one of their seminars in Florida, and I said I went up to them at the seminar. I said, I want to, can I work for you? I just want to be immersed in this, And so I went and I did that. I got a job at one of their practices and I worked there and more, I saw how you actually apply this in practice and do it in a successful way. Um, and then time came for me to open my own thing, and I moved back to Jersey and started a practice in a gym, Gold's Gym in Princeton, New Jersey, and right off the bat, just cranked it out. I had the gym. Every new gym member got a consultation with the Chiro and did the whole screening, basically on every single new gym member. Then I went out and did all those talks, and I did as much as I could to get in front of people. And that practice was right away great. Um, I would bring them out in the gym and have them do certain things because we did CVP, and I had tiny, tiny office, maybe the size of this office for the whole thing. Um, but I used the gym space and got exposure and taught people the principle and gave you know, my workshop, my new patient workshop, and it just grew and grew. And it was wonderful.
Well, and
Now
that's the thing too, like, and that's
yeah,
what Ben and Greg did so well. Like, when you're on purpose, man, you look at people and what are they willing to do to market? Well, now it's such a lazy world. We put out ads and we go to social media and so many people, you build your practice when your feet hit the sidewalk and when you have to talk about chiropractic.
hmm
Yes.
When you're so purpose driven, you have to give a talk. You want to do a screening. You want to book talks. You want to
Correct.
get in front of as many people as possible.
I've
But
talked to,
that's
on some of those like the podcast, the video stuff, like just I don't know how people don't get patients because people ask you what you do all the time. Like even me today, and I just say I'm a chiropractor. Oh, and something happens from that, and
Exactly.
oh, can you take care of me? It's like the first thing. And all I'm doing is just meeting somebody. And I'm not an extrovert, Fred. You know that. I'm not like out there trying to meet people all the time. I'd like to stay home and do whatever. But it's like so easy if you just are open to like
Yes.
saying hello, introducing yourself. You don't have to go crazy
it's got to
and
be
it'll build.
curious about other people, man, and be friendly.
Yeah. Right.
Right, exactly. Be curious, be open, be friendly. okay, put yourself out there. Go set yourself. What's old is new, right? Go doing a lunch and learn. Who's doing
Absolutely.
that anymore? It's the best thing in the world. Bring some lunch. You control the narrative and the message, and just go and give your 40-minute thing. And some people will ask you questions from there.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly. Who's your
it's,
chiropractor?
yeah,
No, it's such a great phrase. Who's your chiropractor? We had a couple docs at one of our events I had an event at my office, and they were like, wow, you get so many referrals. And I said, well, this is how you do it. So we went to Walmart and we're at checkout. And I said, watch this. So the lady's doing her thing. I said, man, how many bags are you packing a day? Like, I got
yeah.
the little turntable, and she's like, oh man, I do this and I do that.
Turn
I said, my God, think about how many pounds of stuff you're lifting a day. And she's like, yeah. I go, who takes care of you? Who's your chiropractor? And she goes, man, I need a chiropractor. You're absolutely right. I'm like, well, good news for you. Pull out my card, write my name on it. I say, look, you know what? Normally it's 47. I'm going to do it for nothing. You come in the office. Lady still sees me today, Linda. And, so it's just, you just get into a conversation,
Right.
and it doesn't always go that way, but it's never going to
But
go
it
that
does
way if you
most of the
don't say
time.
anything,
It
Right.
actually does most of the time.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, right. People are afraid. Fred, I hear you say it a lot, I think, in some of the stuff you do. And I think about this all the time in business. But I'm more afraid of regretting what I didn't do
Oh my God.
than the
That's a
failure of
bigger
like
consequence,
yeah, the biggest consequence is the regret. Like, I don't
right?
want that. I'd rather
Right.
just talk to somebody and,
Yeah.
okay, maybe you had a rough day on your own, like you're tired, whatever. You see somebody struggling and you don't want to start the conversation, but just
Yeah.
be curious about them. Like,
Yeah.
and you got to pick yourself up and get over there and just say
Yeah.
hello.
Well,
Yeah.
one of the
Hey, you
things we
okay?
talked about, we just came back from a boot camp, and you look, if you want to create a lifestyle patient, you got to change their belief system.
Yes.
And a lot of people like you, Joe, and you, Brian, you become so seasoned on how to, if you want to say, influence people to be able to understand their mindset and take it from one mindset to another in a lifestyle. That's why Linda is still with you, right? And after studying human behavior, what you realize, you think it's patient education, but what you're really doing is changing their belief system into chiropractic lifestyle. So one of the things we cover this weekend is is how many limiting beliefs does the chiropractor have? And that comes up because of what you said, Brian. You see somebody suffering, well, I don't feel good, or what am I going to say, or what if they say no? It's like it's your own belief system
Right.
that because they actually want it. They
Correct.
just don't know, but
Correct.
they want it. They are a spiritual being. It's a universal principle. If
Correct.
you speak to their heart and not to their head, like, hey, I see you're struggling there. Looks like you're suffering. What happened?
Hmm.
It's like the line in the grocery store, someone rubbing their neck. Oh, what am I going to say? Hey, excuse me, why are you rubbing
Why
your
you rubbing
neck?
your neck?
I know. It's like, it's not that hard. And then they go, oh, I just got in an accident, or, I just want, well, really, have you ever been, who's your chiropractor? You know what I mean? It's like, it's not that hard. All you have to do is be a person, not
Correct.
someone trying to sell something.
Correct.
Yes,
Yeah. Put
that's
their needs
important.
ahead of your own. My dad always said that. Put the needs of those you serve, and then, and Einstein said that, right? Be a man of service. Like, if I make it about them, then the rejection is meaningless because it was about them in the first place. But if I make it about me, then the rejection hurts because I was part of why I was reaching out. So if they say no, it's okay. Hey, listen, I care about you. I'd love for the best. If I can ever help you out, I'm here. I think so many docs are either they don't know how to handle rejection, or they it's crippling to them, where in the end, I always, when we talk to our docs, I go, if I was playing professional baseball and I hit 350 average, I'm making $10 million a year and Nike's knocking on my door. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
we don't have to
you're
go
Hall
in
of
there
Fame.
and meet 10 people and have all 10 go, oh my God, I want to be chiropractic lifestyle. Like, take every 10 and work your butt off to do your best to transfer the principle and try to get 3 or 4, and to understand. And boy, you do that every week. And after a few months, you got to practice. I mean, that's how it works.
Well, and then the
Yeah,
whole
what if
thing
just
is,
one of those became a chiropractor?
Yeah. Huge.
or didn't become a chiropractor because you didn't say anything. Like that could
Exactly.
have happened to me at least 4 times, right? Like
Exactly.
4 different chiropractors I talked to at least that never told me anything of any consequence. Oh yeah, I can make you feel better. And I had a good opinion of chiropractic because it did.
Right. Yeah.
Like it did help me. But that was it. I had a rib that was out from a high
Right.
school injury, and I went to a chiropractor in college when I was a freshman, and he helped me. Not a word of philosophy or principle, but he helped
Yeah.
me. So I thought it was really good profession. When I was going to hear Eric speak, I'm like, and my cousin was a chiropractor, cousin like first, first cousin. It's like, I'm like, oh, it's a good profession. My cousin was miserable. He was like in some PI mill, miserable. But I went to the chiropractor when I was a kid. He was a happy guy, seemed to be enjoying being in practice. I went to this guy when I was in college. He was doing, I think, pretty well, helped me a ton. So I had a good impression, but like what I was missing was everything.
Yeah. Everything.
Just
I
like,
Was a
would say
life.
that.
And when you
Right.
say, let's go back to what you said, Joe. If you perceive rejection, it's only because you're thinking about yourself. There's
Yes.
never
yeah, just
rejection.
change the question. Like, what if,
Yeah,
like you
change
said,
your
what if they
message.
don't like it? What if they had a bad experience in the past? What if this? What if they have no experience?
Right.
And what if they are one day away from putting a bullet in their head because they're in so much pain? What if all these other things? Ask those questions. What if you're the only one that can help them? What if
Right.
this? What if that? Change the question.
Yes.
Absolutely. So
Exactly.
anyway, man, so now let's get back to Joe's original question with you. So then you're practicing, telling the story, changing lives, and then you developed the software. So you have a story
Yeah,
that was the impetus to that.
yeah. The story of it all was we had software, had paper, then software, then other stuff, but there was kind of philosophical. It's almost like software without principle, right? There's just something missing. It wasn't really focused on the retention, being notified when a patient was at risk for leaving your practice. Things you were doing. The story of how I had a patient that was a great, amazing conversion story. Like he got it as much as you would ever want somebody to get the big idea within one visit. Like it changed his life. How I knew he got changed was because on his first re-exam, he told me, I said, how is that? How he was on 12 Advil a day because he was in so much pain, low back pain. And he came in and I said, how you doing? Of course, he's like, no, it's all gone. And that was great. And after that, he came in one day with looking totally different, and he said, "Can I talk to you?" And we went in a room. I said, "What's going on?" I'm sorry, I haven't told the story in a while, so I'm trying to remember the details of it in order so it makes sense. Otherwise, so I said, "What's going on?" He said, I need to tell you, I'm not feeling good. I'm really basically what he told me is I'm thinking about killing myself."
Hmm.
And I said, "Well, whoa, what happened?" This was a happy guy, right? Generally speaking, and he was feeling better. And he went from that to this. And I said, "Well, um, first I asked him, I was still young in practice. So this was actually a board preparation question. Like when somebody says that to you, your question is supposed to be, how are you going to do it? So I said, how are you planning on doing that? He said, I have a gun. It's in the shed. And when
Hmm.
everybody's asleep, I'm going to go out there and do it. So you asked that question because you want to know if they're serious. If they have a plan, they're serious. They're like close. So I said, well, what happened? His name was Chris. I said, Chris, what happened? You're doing so good here. Now, all of a sudden, all this, what did you change? Did you start taking drugs? Are you on something? He said, no, I stopped taking all the drugs. I said, all of the drugs? What were you taking beside the Advil? He said, well, I was smoking marijuana. I was drinking. I was doing some other stuff. I was doing it. I said, and smoking cigarette, everything. He's like, he
Hmm.
was doing everything. And so I said, well, what, what happened? You just stopped all that? He said, yeah, I just quit everything. I said, cold turkey? He said, yeah, and quit everything. I said, well, first of all, your body was used to having all these chemicals in your body, and now you're in withdrawal for sure, and your body has to come to homeostasis. So let's get you some help. So that was the first thing. I said, but what made you decide to do all that all of a sudden? He said, well, when I came to the new patient workshop, you said this was about more than just my back pain. This was about how my body functioned and how it was going to affect me in my future. And I realized that I was doing a lot of things that were interfering with my health. And because of that, my kids and my relationship with my wife obviously wasn't great. And that was affecting my relationship with the kids. And I was seeing how that was affecting their relationships with other kids and their school and their performance at school. And I realized I wasn't being the man and the father I could be. And I was like, holy shit. I said, and you got that from the workshop? And he's like, yeah. And, so the point of that is he got it. He's as much as you could ever want somebody to understand it, right? In one moment. And that's how important that any one moment that you talk is. It's life or death.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I got him referred out, and time went on and he was around. And then at one point, I woke up in the morning and I was just felt sick to my stomach. And I'm like, I haven't seen Chris. And then we found out that he actually did commit suicide.
Oh,
Um, and then what's the first thing you want to do when you find that out in your practice? When was the last time we actually saw him? And I went and I looked and I saw how he had missed visits and we didn't reschedule them. He had re-exams come up. We didn't do them. And the re-exam is not to go over their symptoms and how much better they are. There's a lot of things that are important in a re-exam, none of which have to do with their symptoms, obviously.
No.
Um, we didn't do those. His finances, his care plan, everything, nothing was done perfectly. And I'm big on process. And I realized that I dropped the ball. The buck stops here. And we needed technology, and it got better with technology. But things still fell through the cracks. But I realized that anytime a thing falls through the cracks, so we talked about this earlier, right? Everything is life or death. It really could mean life or death for somebody. If they don't
Literally.
show up, what is it saying when the patient doesn't show up for their visits, I should say, and they don't even call, not even a courtesy call, and they don't reschedule it, is they don't value it because they're not missing their chemotherapy treatment and not rescheduling it.
correct.
I mean, they don't do that because they value it, because if they feel if they don't do it, they're going to die. But when they miss your visit, they don't think it's life or death. And they don't have
Yeah.
to think it's life or death in that moment, but like we were talking about earlier, they have to understand this is about their health. And at the very least, they should call and reschedule it without you hounding them. When you're hounding them, there's a big disconnection. When you're having to hound people for reschedule, that's a red flag. This relationship is on the rocks. They're about to walk out and never come back. Like you have to understand what that means. So I wanted a better solution for that situation, but I didn't have one. I got software, it got better. By the way, another perspective I had after that, when I got a little older and had my son, I named him Christian because the patient's name was Chris. And I wanted to never forget that, especially when I became a father, that was somebody's child. And I couldn't imagine my son walking into somebody's chiropractic practice and first of all, not understanding the principle, and then them dropping the ball on him. Um, so that's a daily reminder. And I still wake up many times in the morning with that same feeling I had when Chris actually did what he did. It's still there. So anyway, why did I get into software? I wanted a better solution. I wanted the software to tell me if anything got dropped or anything is critical, mission critical. And there's really not software that did that. There's a lot of systems out there that are good. But so while I was in practice, I met a PhD in mathematics and with patents in artificial intelligence, worked at Bell Labs, worked as the CIO of the top financial bank in the world, had, just very intelligent person, let's put it that way. And his son, a computer science graduate from Princeton. And they were building technology. They built technology to solve the insurance billing problem. And which I had also in my practice, a problem with insurance collections. I didn't know that, and nor did I want to learn it. It's like you're fed down on making money, whatever. And so I got introduced to these guys just serendipitously. My bookkeeper was the bookkeeper from the gym. She came into my office. She became my bookkeeper. She was also the bookkeeper for these guys, and introduced us. And they said, we have this amazing platform. It's in the cloud. It does all this automation. It has artificial intelligence, and we have people outsourced in India to call the insurance companies. We get you paid. I said, okay. But so they said, we built this thing, but we've never actually tried it. So I said, okay, let's try it. And my collections went up 40%, and I didn't change anything I was doing. And this is not about cash or insurance or anything, but the point is the technology, what I learned about the technology, what I saw in the technologies is why did it drive up collections is because follow-up was the key. The system was telling the people when to follow up on insurance claims and why to follow up on insurance claims. I said, I need the same system, but for my patients. I need to know if a patient missed a visit that was never rescheduled. I need to know if a care plan is about to expire. I need my team to do things ahead of their re-exam. They need to be proactively told what are the mission critical items that need to be completed today to drive patient retention and compliance and experience, really patient experience. So there became dozens and dozens and dozens of things that we start to proactively manage. We did that, and I couldn't practice anymore. We got so busy. So that was the genesis of Genesis. And it was, all of these are God things. I mean, the fact that I became a chiropractor the way I became a chiropractor, and that I went to Florida and learned enough and opened the practice in that location. The reason I opened it is there was a doctor in there. I shouldn't say opened it. It was already there, and he was doing nothing with it. And he put it for sale, and it was like 20 grand. And called my dad. I said, Dad, I need 20 grand. He said, go ahead. You got it. And sorry, sorry,
Your
All good,
dad
brother.
passed away.
Lost my
Your
dad
dad
last year.
passed
I
away
get it.
last year.
just lost them. Anyway, but this practice is sitting there. I don't know if you call it a gold mine, but if I wasn't there in that moment with those people that connect me in that way, but the most important thing is you have to have the principle in your head. Otherwise, you don't see the
Correct.
potential.
Correct. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I always say you
Well,
practice
and
within the 6 inches between your ears. It's not the box. Everybody thinks it's the box.
No
If
way.
I take a doc that doesn't have a principal and put him, I don't care how busy your practice is. If you don't have the principal, that thing's going to die. If you take somebody who's got an unbelievable principal and they go in a dead practice, thing's going to fucking explode. It's not the pen. It's not the business card. It's not the fucking location. It's your principle. It's your, you get compelled. You have to talk about it and share it and uplift people nonstop. I mean, you do that and you change the world. So,
well, two
Yep.
things. One, don't even try and tell us that big old melon is only 6 inches.
that's true. I appreciate that. Hey, don't worry about my feelings, please. Just tell me what you think.
Yeah. He's like, that's not the only thing that's more than 6
It's
inches.
a big ad. It's a big. I'll be the first
Hey,
one to
we're
tell
all
you.
Italian here. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. The second thing is, you've evolved your software, and this isn't a shameless plug for Elite. This is really about Genesis. So you actually became an Elite client because ours, and one of the core values, building lifelong relationships. So you took some of those principles of how to manage relationships and put that into your technology, which
Yeah.
is very unique. You know, it's not just objective stuff, right? It
No,
shows you
yeah,
how to manage a relationship.
yeah. It's, it would be, you hear about CRM systems and customer relationship management system, but this is a patient relationship management methodology,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So, and it just doesn't exist anywhere else. So, but Fred, yeah, we've taken the principles because they're pure of that you teach. It's all about relationships, even in our marketing and sales. Like it's got to take people through a process to help them understand what their real problem is, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
And
help
how
them
you can
feel
solve it.
understood.
Yeah, help them. Yeah, 100% build a relationship. Uh, be genuine, care about them. First of all, it's in our core values. Like you got to care about this practice like it's your own, like it's your
Yeah.
business.
Yes.
Put them
Cool.
first.
Yes.
Well, so we're kind of winding down here. We get to that time. It's like, shit, I got to get on coaching calls, and it's easy to sit here for another hour.
Yeah.
So what's your vision now for the future? Where do you see chiropractic going? The whole world is in a shift in consciousness, man. This is chiropractic's time. What's your vision? And
For
what are you working on?
chiropractic or for chiropractic or my business or
Yeah, both, all of it.
well, the good news is that Genesis was rose up in chiropractic and now it has this methodology that's unique, but it also applies to other professions that also need it. And I believe that as we are branching into other specialties, they will be more exposed to the principles that are in the system that are really chiropractic principles, right? The true health is being proactive, and finding the subluxations in your business and using technology to show you the subluxation, show you the misalignment in real time and being proactive. And that's a chiropractic principle. So I think as we branch out into other specialties, I think it'll help. That's one way I see us influencing not just chiropractors, but the general population and
Right.
other specialties.
Awesome.
Um, I see Genesis as something that is ironically teaching chiropractors philosophy and principle. And really, because you're putting the patient first, right? We are passionate. And because of with the story I told you, this is about the patient. And if you keep that in mind, and you build process and systems around this system is about the patient, doctors get that. Because most systems build features that look nice in theory. They have, they look pretty. They look like this. They have schedule. They have documentation. They have billing. Those are just features. There's no life in that. There's no, uh, with Genesis, artificial intelligence, actual intelligence, looking at your practice and helping you see the shortcomings, what's being missed. So that's philosophy and with
Yeah.
technology.
Yeah.
Right.
Great.
Awesome. So, what do you want to leave these people with, man? For our audience, if there's one thing you wanted to leave them with, what would it be?
I mean, they're everybody that's listening to this is smart enough how to find Genesis if they want to find it, right? So,
Absolutely.
just that chiropractic changed my life and can change everybody you see every day. Could be potentially going to save their life. So don't be afraid. Be more afraid of what's happening to those people because you're not saying something if you're not saying something.
Yeah. Because it's going to elevate everyone's life. It doesn't
Absolutely.
even have to save your life. It's going to elevate your life.
Right.
It's going to elevate anyone's life. Anyone's life is better under care. You're
Absolutely.
always going to be better under care. Bottom line, you don't have to save them. Just make your life better.
Physically,
And like my
mentally,
patient
spiritually.
Chris, like my patient, remember he understood the ripple effect through history from one workshop. He understood how it was impacting his family, his children, their future. He understood that. That's really, that's a big understand. That's the big idea,
That's
right? So
generational.
yeah, so that one person you talk to could be the next chiropractor. You can never adjust that many people as you could or affect as many lives as if you make one other person a chiropractor.
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly right.
What about you, Joe? What do you got coming up? And you got your chiropassion gig coming up here. And,
Yeah, April 12th, we do our boot camp, which is fantastic. We're going to be at the Fort Lauderdale Marina.
Oh, I'm coming. What is it? April 12th?
Yeah, come
April 12th.
set up a booth, no problem. Rock and roll. On me,
Fort
no charge.
Lauderdale.
Unlike Elite, who probably, just gouges you.
Yeah.
We're open.
They want an
to
arm
the
and a
rest
leg,
of the
man.
crew.
Arm and a leg. I
But
just got to bring some cannolis for Joe.
yeah, exactly. Wait, what? That goes without saying. I'm embarrassed you even had to say that, to be honest with you, for both of us. Yeah, so we got an event coming up, and yeah, we're really excited about that. And we go over a lot of what you do, Fred. I mean, we teach obviously on a very similar platform.
Oh yeah.
And then we do a big event, mastermind retreat in Italy. We do that at my villa, July 17th, 18th, and 19th. And that's pretty awesome. That sells out. We can only do 32 people. And then we have our next event in November 8th and 9th. That'll be our practice mastery. So we do the 3 events a year. So we're really excited.
So how do they go? They go to your website. How do they get?
chiropracticconsulting.com, Joe Borio on Facebook, Chiropassion on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We put a lot of stuff out there, so great stuff. So yeah.
Cool, man. Hey, we just came back from the lifestyle retention boot camp, and how to simplify your message, how to make it easy, how to speak to their heart, and how to get 90% of your people living chiropractic, and how to create a legacy that affects generations, not just build a practice. And you can do that from day one. In fact, you have to do that on day one and get them wired like that right from the beginning. So we got the next generation of boot camps happening in June and August in Atlanta. Go to elitecoachingllc.com, check it out, give me a call. And share these, subscribe on YouTube. Please share these with other chiropractors. I'm sure if you've listened to the whole thing to this point, you've picked up a lot of gems and diamonds. And thanks, Brian, for sharing your life, your passion, your heart with us. And
my pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, sure thing. So, all right, you guys, stay subscribed, keep it up. We'll be sending these out, and look up all 3 of us. You want to take your life practice, everything, purpose to the next level. And blessings to you all, and go out and tell the story, and don't water down the purpose.
Don't water it down, baby. Don't water it down.
All right, see you guys.